attack in Jenin Camp, West Bank. Australia vows strong action if citizen killed in Ukraine. South Korea's President Yoon apprehended over martial law bid. Over 6 million in LA face critical fire risk amid strong winds. And Ukraine strikes Russia with US, UK missiles in major drone attack. Stay with me for these and more stories. On Israel-Gaza war, according to reports, a Palestinian teenager and 3 brothers were among at least 6 people killed in an Israeli-led attack on the Jenin refugee camp in the occupied West Bank. On Tuesday evening, an Israeli drone fired 3 missiles at a group of people close to a traffic roundabout in the camp, killing 6 people, including a 15-year-old boy, and wounding many others. 5 other victims of the attack were aged between 23 and 34 and included 3 brothers, reports say. Earlier this month, an Israeli drone attack on the West Bank's Talmud town killed 2 Palestinian children, a 23-year-old from the same family. According to reports, the drone strike on the Jenin camp comes amid intense Israeli military attacks on local communities and the killing by Israeli forces of nearly 800 Palestinians in the occupied West Bank since October 7, 2023, as well as the arrest of several thousands others. Israel's defense minister has said Israel will continue this policy across the West Bank. Salud said, adding that the violence in the occupied territory is now known as Israel's silent war. The deadly drone attack also comes amid a military operation launched in the Jenin camp by the Palestinian Authority's PA security forces over the last several weeks, aiming Palestinian resistant fighters, which has resulted in over a dozen people killed. Anwar Jujab, a spokesperson for the PA security forces, said the attack was planned to disrupt efforts by the authority to achieve security and stability in Jenin. The deputy speaker of the Palestinian Legislative Council, Hassan Krusei, said the drone attack revealed Israel's willingness to kill Palestinians indiscriminately. The drone strike has also triggered rage among locals as coming amid the PA's military operation in Jenin. Krusei said, adding that the PA should now withdraw from Jenin and unite with other Palestinian groups in opposing the Israeli occupation. Earlier on Tuesday, the Jenin Battalion of Palestinian Islamic Jihad said it agreed to a local initiative to end the Palestinian infighting and stop the bloodshed between Palestinians in the occupied territory. The group did not disclose details of the agreement, but it said it affirms the legitimate right to resist the criminal occupation. Anthony Albanese, Australian Prime Minister, has promised to take the strongest possible action against Russia if it is confirmed that the Russian forces killed a Melbourne school teacher in their captivity in Ukraine. On Wednesday, Albanese made the remarks after reports said Oscar Jenkins, who volunteered to fight with the Ukrainian forces, was believed to have been killed. Australia's Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade has said it has not verified the reports, which cited unnamed sources in Ukraine, but officials have great concerns for Jenkins' welfare. Penny Wong, Australian Minister of Foreign Affairs, said earlier that officials were making urgent inquiries about Jenkins, and all options were being considered in terms of diplomatic response, including the possible expulsion of the Russian ambassador. My thoughts are with Jenkins' family. They've lived with the fear and uncertainty of a loved one in the middle of a foreign war for many months. I know this report will be devastating to them, and they are in my thoughts as well as many Australians. According to Wong, Australia had a difficult relationship with Russia for many years, citing Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and the downing of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17 by a Russian-made missile in 2014, with the loss of 298 people, including 38 Australians. The 32-year-old is believed to be the first Australian held as a prisoner of war by Russian forces in Ukraine. Not including Jenkins, at least 6 Australians are believed to have been killed in Russia and in Ukraine since Russia launched its invasion. If his death is confirmed, Jenkins will be the first Australian prisoner of war killed by a foreign power since Horace William Slim Maiden died in captivity in North Korea in 1951. Now, South Korean investigators have detained South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol over accusations of revolt for briefly enforcing martial law in a step swiftly overturned by the country's National Assembly. The authorities said in a statement on Wednesday that the Joint Investigation Headquarters executed an arrest warrant for President Yoon Suk-yeol today, 15th January at 10:33 a.m. local time, making Yoon the first South Korean president to be arrested while still in office. The Deputy Chief of Korea's Corruption Investigation Office CIO, Lee Jae-seong, led questioning of Yoon inside an interrogating room with Yoon's legal representatives present. The CIO said Yoon will be held at Seoul Detention Center in Uwang following questioning, according to report. In a pre-recorded video message released after his arrest, Yoon said he had made the decision to submit to questioning over his failed martial law bid to avert bloodshed. Earlier in the day, South Korean investigators and police used ladders to climb into Yoon's residential compound after they were initially blocked by the Presidential Security Service, which barricaded the entrance using vehicles, according to reports. Thousands of people, including supporters, had assembled outside Yoon's homes, while a group of lawmakers from the governing Conservative People Power Party and Yoon's lawyers had also tried to stop the arrest inside the residential compound. The standoff at Yoon's presidential residence came just hours after he failed to appear for the first hearing in his impeachment trial over his short-lived imposition of martial law on December 3rd. Talking national disaster, strong winds forecast in the impending hours are elongating the combat that lies ahead for firefighters battling the Los Angeles fire, which have killed no less than 25 people. On Wednesday, over 6 million people are under a critical fire threat across several counties in Southern California, including cities outside of Los Angeles County, such as Anaheim, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Oxnard. According to CAL FIRE, the Eaton and Palisades fires are now the most damaging and second most destructive wildfires, respectively, in Southern California history. The fires over the past week were larger and hotter than they would have in a world without planet warming fossil fuel pollution, a UCLA analysis suggests. The National Weather Service NWS has reinstated the particularly dangerous situation PDS red flag warnings for part of Los Angeles and Ventura on Wednesday as gusty winds are anticipated. The warnings had been dropped on Tuesday due to lower than expected winds. While Wednesday's winds are not expected to be as strong as last week, winds across higher elevations could surpass 50 miles per hour. Widespread lower elevations and also sea wind gusts up to 50 mph which could trigger any new fires to rapidly spread out of control. While the PDS red flag warning will continue to cover the Eaton fire, with the Weather Service said winds in the Palisades fire area are expected to remain on the lower side of wind forecast. The PDS red flag warning covers the following areas: western San Gabriel Mountains along the 1 to 5 corridor, southern Ventura County Mountains, Santa Susana Mountains, Ventura Valleys near Simi Valley, Moon Park, Santa Paula, and South Mountain, western Santa Monica's, western San Fernando Valley highways 118 and 210 from Porter Ranch to San Fernando, Calabasas, Agoura Hills, Ventura County, and coastal plains. The majority of the regular red flag warnings are set to expire across Southern California by 6 p.m. PT on Wednesday. Conditions are likely to start improving on Thursday, with winds expected to continue to reduce. The present forecast calls for gusts of 30 mph on Thursday and for the remainder of the red flag warnings to expire. The preliminary forecast through the weekend is for cooler and more humid air to move over Southern California, which can help to alleviate some of the dry air that has been ongoing across the region. While this weather is more favorable, the primary source of relief will come in form of rounds of rainfall over the region. Unfortunately, rainfall is not in the forecast for the next 7 days and doesn't seem likely through the end of the month. Below average rainfall is anticipated through at least the first week of February, which is usually Southern California's wettest month. On Russia-Ukraine war on Tuesday, Russia's military said it would retaliate against Ukraine after Kyiv attacked Russian regions by firing 6 US-made ATACMS ballistic missiles, 6 UK-made Storm Shadow cruise missiles, and launching one of the biggest drone attacks to date. After Ukraine first launched ATACMS and British Storm Shadow missiles into Russia last year, Moscow reacted on November 21st by launching a new intermediate-range hypersonic ballistic missile known as Oreshnik or Hazel Tree at Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry said it has shot down all of the Western missiles fired by Ukraine at the Bryansk region, as well as 146 drones outside the war zone. It said 2 more Storm Shadows had been shot down over the Black Sea. The Ukrainian General Staff said it had hit as deep as 1,100 kilometers, that's 680 miles, inside Russia, aiming oil storage, refinery, chemical and ammunition plants in the Bryansk, Saratov, Tula and Tatarstan regions. Kyiv did not say precisely how it struck the targets, but said that drone and missile forces were among the units involved in the attack. In November, Vladimir Putin, Russian president, said the Ukraine war was intensifying towards a global conflict after the United States and Ukraine permitted Ukraine for the first time to launch their missiles deep inside Russia. President-elect Donald Trump has pushed for a ceasefire and negotiations to end the war quickly, leaving Washington's long-term support for Ukraine in question. Russia's 2022 invasion of Ukraine has left tens of thousands of dead, displaced millions, and stoked the biggest crisis in ties between Moscow and the West since the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. On more stories now, EU border agency says irregular migration dropped sharply in 2024. According to the bloc's border control agency Frontex, the number of irregular border crossings into the European Union fell considerably in 2024, something which it attributed to intensified cooperation against smuggling networks. The Warsaw-based agency said in a statement that its preliminary data for last year showed a 38% drop in irregular border crossings into the 27-member bloc. The data refers to the number of detections of irregular border crossing at the external borders of the EU, not the total number of people who try to cross. In some cases, the same person may cross the border many times in different locations at the external border, Frontex notes. The agency said there were just more than 239,000 detections of irregular border crossings, the lowest number registered since 2021, when migration was lower due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite the overall reduction, challenges persist, including dangerous sea crossings resulting in major loss of life and the evolving tactics of smuggling networks. In spite of the decrease in irregular arrivals, a sense has taken hold across Europe that there is too much unregulated immigration to the continent. Since 2015, the issue has dominated political life in Europe when more than 1 million people arrived at once, many fleeing the war in Syria. The issue has boosted far-right parties that strongly oppose accepting large numbers of refugees and migrants, including in places like Austria and Germany. The decline in the total number was majorly driven by a 59% plunge in arrivals via the central Mediterranean route due to fewer departures from Tunisia and Libya, Frontex said. It also reported a 78% fall in detections on the Western Balkan route following efforts in that region to stop entry. At the same time, irregular arrivals were up last year along the EU's eastern borders with Belarus. Frontex also said it recorded an 18% surge in arrivals to the Canary Islands, a Spanish archipelago close to the African coast that is increasingly used as an alternative stepping stone to continental Europe. It said the closely 47,000 arrivals it recorded there marked the highest figure since it started collecting data in 2009. While 2024 saw a significant reduction in irregular border crossings, it also highlighted emerging risks and shifting dynamics, Frontex Executive Director Hans Littjens said. We quickly take a short break, and when we come back, I'll bring you stories from Nigeria. Please don't go anywhere. Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now we dive right into stories from Nigeria and we begin with insecurity. Southwest governors unite against ISWAP and bandits. States in the southwest region of Nigeria are planning in reaction to the reported invasion of bandits and fighters from the Islamic State West Africa province into some of the region's forests. According to reports, the Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde cautioned last week that bandits fleeing military operations in the northwest were seeking refuge in the state, raising the concern at the 2025 yearly interfaith service for workers held at the Secretariat Igodi Ibadan. Makinde said, and I quote, "During a security briefing this morning, I learned that some bad elements from the northwest are relocating here due to military heat in their zones, but we will find and deal with them." The Ogun State government also said it had contacted relevant security agencies, including the military and the police. Recently, the Department of State Services apprehended 10 suspected members of ISWAP in Ilesha, Osun State. The arrest came to public knowledge when the DSS sought an order of a federal high court in Abuja to detain the suspects for 60 days, an order Justice Emeka Nwite granted last week Friday. In the same vein, the Odua People's Congress urged all the 6 governors of the Southwest to treat as a security emergency the building of camps inside Yoruba land forest by insurgents and terrorists fleeing the north, as it offered to assist security agencies address the menace. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu noted that he is consulting with his counterparts in Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ondo, and Ekiti states. Boyega Akosile, his special advisor on media and publicity, said the governor, who is also the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, receives daily intelligence on the state of security in the region. Akosile said the governor was getting ready to handle security matters in the region, adding that he was well briefed on the issue. Speaking on the security situation, the Oyo State government assured residents that he will leave no stone unturned to ensure the safety of everyone in the state. The special advisor on security to Oyo State Governor Fatai Onwoshini, in a statement by the special advisor media to Oyo State Governor Suleiman Olarunwaju, urged the people to go about their lawful activities without any fear. Meanwhile, NAS seeks detailed reports on livestock development. The National Assembly has asked for a detailed report on the development projects and programs of the newly established Ministry of Livestock Development, particularly the component on resolving the Hydra-headed farmer-herder conflicts bedeviling the country. On Tuesday, during the defense of the ministry's 2025 budget in Abuja, the joint committees of the Senate and the House of Representatives on livestock development gave the directive. The development came as lawmakers stated shock over the measly 11.8 billion naira budgeted by the ministry following a presentation by the minister in charge of the ministry, Mukhtar Meha. Lawmakers also heard that 6 months following its creation, the white paper to tackle asset sharing between it and the Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security, as well as other groundwork plans had not been released yet. Out of the 11.8 billion naira, the sum of 10 billion naira was earmarked for capital projects, while the balance of 1.8 billion naira was set aside for overhead spending. The chairman, House Committee on Livestock Development, Honorable Wale Raji, while speaking on the proposals of the ministry, told the minister that the Presidential Committee on the Action Plan of the Ministry had given its budgetary estimations across the next 2 to 3 years. Raji revealed that up to 109 billion naira was recommended as the budget for 2025, expressing concern that an envelope of 11.8 billion naira was handed over to the ministry. Lawmakers told the minister not to have the impression that livestock development was all about cattle and ranches. They said the job of the ministry cuts across a wider area, including poultry, animal production and care, piggery, sheep/goat breeding, sensitization, farmer/herder crisis, cattle production and provision of water resources. And finally on the news, federal government brings back 390 stranded Nigerians from Niger Republic. At least 390 Nigerians who were stranded in Niamey, Niger Republic, had been deported by the federal government. The reception of the returnees was coordinated by the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons in collaboration with other stakeholders at the Immigration Training School, Kano, ITSK. The reception exercise, which took place at 1 a.m. on Tuesday, 14th January 2025, was a coordinated multi-agency operation organized by the Nigerian Mission in Niamey and the International Organization for Migration, IOM. According to the Commission, this latest effort marks the continuation of voluntary returns initiated in 2024 and represents the third batch of returnees from Niger Republic. The 390 returnees included 387 adults and 2 adult females and 1 infant. Upon arrival, the returnees were registered and profiled by NCFRMI and NIS officials to ensure proper documentation and access to various federal government reintegration support programs. The Honorable Federal Commissioner of the NCFRMI, Honorable Tijani Aliyu Ahmed, while speaking at the reception exercise held at ITSK, represented by the Kano Field Coordinator Haji Aluba Liman, reaffirmed the federal government's commitment to reintegrating the returnees. He stressed that the returnees will be integrated into various empowerment programs under the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to support their reintegration. Honorable Tijani Ahmed lauded the seamless collaboration among participating agencies, noting that their joint efforts ensure the success of the operation. He highlighted the critical role of multi-agency collaboration in addressing migration-related challenges. Stakeholders present at the reception exercise included representatives of the Nigerian Immigration Service, NIS, International Organization for Migration, IOM, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, Department of State Services, DSS, Nigeria Police Force, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Nigerian Red Cross Society, NRCS, State Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, and the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, among others. To refresh your memory, 6 killed in Israeli drone strike in Jenin camp, West Bank. Australia vows strong action if citizen killed in Ukraine. South Korea's President Yoon apprehended over martial law bid. Over 6 million LA face critical fire risks amid strong winds, and Ukraine strikes Russia with US-UK missiles in major drone attack. And that's all of the news. Thanks for watching. I am Striking. Enjoy the rest of your day.